Hey folks, Josh Beasley with Eco Panels of Tennessee. I have Christy Pennington with me, better known as
KP.
KP. So if you know Christy, it's KP. Um, we wanted to do a quick little sit down and go over our plan approval process. Okay, and yeah, it's a little technical and such. This is a little inside baseball, um, but we want you all to have a better understanding, not just of our product. A lot of our videos are about our product, but the process is a big part of it too, right,
Yeah.
KP? And so when we're doing plans and KP designs all these, draws these out for us, and when she does them, there's a lot of information that she has to have. You've got to have stuff from the customer.
Yeah.
Kind of hit on some of the main points, some of the big things that you've got to have real quick.
Okay. So basically, first thing I look for when a plan comes to me is to make sure it has the outer dimensions, the wall height, the roof pitch, and any kind of details that will help me towards the end, like if your roofing system needing any kind of pocket, and if you do have your electrical already, that's just makes you one step further.
And doors and windows.
Gosh,
openings.
yes, doors and windows. So it normally doesn't come with the plans, but the person that you're talking with, they'll send me the roof openings. And it's best just to get that from your manufacturer that you're buying the windows from. So the window and door roof openings is a very important step.
Yep. So you, your salesperson, KP, maybe your builder, subcontractors, all these folks are working together to try to get information from your side over to our side so we can get them on our plans,
Yep.
right? And so that process is going on. And at some point, all that comes together and KP gets it all on here. But before we make your plans, we really need to make sure everything's correct.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And oftentimes it takes more than one set of eyes to do that. So ultimately, what we ask customers do is to sign off that everything that we have drawn is correct and that we're prepared to build what the customer actually wants,
Right.
what you actually want, right? So you, the customer, maybe your subcontractors, maybe your general contractor need to sit down and look at these plans. And KP and I just wanted to go over a few specific things that you need to look for, right? So KP, first off, probably doors and windows is one of the huge ones, right?
Yes. Different manufacturers have different roof opening sizes.
Yep.
A lot of people think that they're just standard, but majority of the time, your doors and window roof openings will not be the same from one company to the next.
Yeah. So like a 3 foot by 5 foot window, every manufacturer is going to have a slightly different opening size in that wall that window fits in, right?
Yep.
Yep.
True.
Yep. So very good point. So we want to make sure door and window roof openings are the correct size because those are a little hard to modify. They can be done. Modifications can happen, but you'd rather it be right.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for here. That's kind of the whole process here is to try to make this as correct and easy as possible. The other thing you want to make sure is that your window heights is at the correct spot, right?
Yeah.
Off the floor.
Right. So usually they call that header height, but basically that's just from your finished floor down for the top of your window. And most people do match it to the top of the doors, but in some cases it can be custom and they want that to be different.
Yep. So, and a lot of times those windows are standard throughout the house, that header height, but you might have a special window, different things like that. So always just check each of those, right? Probably the next big section is the electrical locations, right?
Exactly. So what I need is your wall plugs, and that can be interior or exterior. Sometimes I'll get different sizes from that for the inside or outside. Your switches, and especially your exterior lights that's around the doors. We all have what you call standards, but it depending on the light fixture that you're using, if it goes up or versus going down, that height can vary.
Yep. And we're working with different codes throughout the country. that's not something that we necessarily research ourselves. So we need the customer, the contractor, to say, "Hey, I need a outlet every 6 feet along this wall, or every 8 feet along this wall, whatever
Yeah, codes can be.
whatever that code is in the area."
And what we use is center to the box, which I know a lot of people use top of the box, but I'd prefer the center of the box because our guys will build that accordingly. And that's just like any other thing. We get used to doing things and it just goes smoother if it's to the center of the box.
Yep, very good. And probably the last thing is, we have conduit that's built into the SIP panels that create a raceway for the electrical wires to run, depending on if you're on a slab or a crawl space, whatever. We need to make sure that those lines are running up or down correctly, or both.
Or both.
Yeah, very good. So just make sure that your electrical is all laid out for your exterior walls, of course, only. We're not really concerning ourselves with interior stuff here, or interior walls. Next section, maybe gable ends. Let's talk about a gable end a little bit.
So when it pertains to the gable end walls, what I need most is your roofing system, your roofing construction.
Even if we're not doing
the roof panels, if you have gable ends that you want to be SIPs, I will need your roof construction. And that could be, for an example, your truss drawings, which was great to go by. That way I don't, have any miscommunication.
Yep.
And with that is what I ask a lot of times is the heel height. And people don't maybe not understand what I mean by that. And basically that's the height on the side where it covers your roof structure.
Covers that point from the top of the wall to the bottom of the roof, basically, right? Yep.
Yes, perfect. And so if I have that truss drawing or any kind of, if you use conventional framing, that's fine too. I just need to know if you're going to go with a 2x10, 2x12, and then I'll know what that heel height is.
Yep, perfect. Then we often work in pockets into walls for maybe exposed beams or LVL supports, different things. So go through that maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. Usually it's going to be, the ridge beam is going to be in the gable ends.
Yeah.
So I would like to know what size that beam is. And some people want it exactly the size, and some people will give a little bit of extra room, an 1/8, a 1/4 inch, so that they have a little extra room to get in.
And they can always kind of foam around that afterwards and trim it out, and it covers up, but it makes sure that their beam fits in their pocket, right? Yeah.
And of course, those pockets can be also in the length side of your house, because if you don't want it to sit on our walls, but to keep that height, we'll also put them in the side walls and do some pockets in that as well.
Yep, very good. Then maybe we talk about roof panels a little bit. Obviously just checking general dimensions and things are good here, but if you've watched our videos, you know anything about our roof panels are a little bit different than a lot of other SIPs because we're a poly injected panel. We don't make as big of a roof panel as a lot of the EPS manufacturers do, right? So we're looking, 10 to 12 foot max as a length, 4 foot wide, and our roof panels need support. So we're looking for 3 points, typically 3 points of support per panel. And when we say support, we're talking like rafters, trusses, things like that, right? So it's important to make sure that they have the rafter spacing correct on the drawings, because KP, you often put in like reference lines of where their rafters or their trusses are, right?
Because when I'm doing the panel design, I'll need to know where to stop and start that cutoff line, where the panel sits, so that it will get a good set where they can screw down to that rafter. To that rafter, to the truss, right? So just make sure that we have the correct spacing notated, that the trusses or rafters start location is correct, and that the spacing on center is correct. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that start and stop can make a difference. If I let's just say I start it from one end to the other, but you prefer it the other. Just
The other
make
direction.
sure that you have
Right.
that for me. And also the pitch.
Yep. So verify pitch, verify rafter spacing, overall size, because that's going to really determine the way you lay out the roof panels and how they go together.
Yep.
Yep. And so that's very important. Then outside of that, really is just give a good general overview of your dimensions overall, right?
Right.
Make sure those dimensions are correct, and if you've hit each of those little points, you all been probably communicating with your salesperson and KP all the way up through this, and details change and they go back and forth, and all this stuff happens through the process. But ultimately, at the end, you kind of need to have a stop, a pause, if you will. And when you're getting ready to sign your plan approval, it's a good time to have that pause and try to forget everything almost and look at this new and just make sure everything is good and in place in the way you want it.
Yeah.
Thank you, KP.
You're welcome.
All right. Listen, if you'd like more information on Eco Panels of Tennessee, please visit our website. It's down below. Come see us in Hermitage Springs. We'll give you a tour. You can meet KP.
Yep.
We'd love to show you what we do. And listen, we also often will send folks a free assembly manual if you'd like it. So if you'd like to learn more about how all this goes together, just reach out to us. Thanks so much.